I shouldn't have stayed. That's the truth. When she said, I'm pregnant, he left me. I should have nodded, fixed the porch, and driven back to my quiet little life. Instead, I stepped closer, and the second I saw the foreclosure notice stapled to her door, something inside me broke open. You ever look at someone and see your own worst memories staring back at you? That's what happened. She was standing barefoot in the doorway, 7 months pregnant, trying not to fall apart. I can't pay you, she said, calm, too calm. Most people hear that and leave. But I remembered standing on my own porch 6 years ago, holding Lily in one arm and a foreclosure notice in the other, wondering how I was supposed to keep breathing. When everything felt like it was collapsing, so when Maya Collins looked at me like she had already accepted defeat, I couldn't walk away. I'll fix it for 200, I heard myself say. She blinked. That's not even enough for materials. I'll make it work. I don't know if it was pride or pain or something softer, but she stared at me like I was dangerous. Why would you do that? Because I knew that look in her eyes, the look that says I'm alone and nobody's coming. I know what it's like, I told her. To stand on the edge and have nobody show up. For a second, something flickered in her expression. Not gratitude, not relief, hope. And that scared me, because hope means responsibility. And I already had a daughter waiting at home, texting me about pizza and extra cheese, trusting me to always show up. I shouldn't have stayed. I shouldn't have let myself see the way. Maya held her belly like she was protecting the only thing in the world that hadn't left her yet. But I did. And when I climbed those porch steps that night, toolbox in hand, I didn't just start fixing rotten wood. I stepped into a storm I had no idea would change my life forever. I told myself it was just a job, 20 minutes to look at the damage, nothing more. But when I knelt down and pressed my palm against the rotten beam, I wasn't thinking about lumber. I was thinking about her voice when she said, 30 days. 30 days until the bank took everything. I'd heard that number before. Can it be fixed? Maya asked from the doorway. Her voice was steady, but her fingers were digging into the door frame like she needed something solid to hold on to. Yeah, I said. It can. The truth? It was worse than she knew. The support beam was shot. The joists were soft. The porch was one hard storm away from collapsing. Kinda like her. Contractors quoted me $4,000, she said quietly. They were overcharging, I answered. She studied me like she didn't know whether to believe that, and I felt something shift in my chest. Not attraction. Not yet. Something slower. Respect, because she wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She was standing there, pregnant and exhausted and scared, but still upright. I lost my job, she added. 4th grade teacher. Budget cuts. That hit me harder than it should have. A teacher about to lose her house. 8 months pregnant, no partner. And somehow she was still apologizing to me for wasting my time. You didn't waste anything, I said. She gave a small, tired smile. Everyone says that before they leave. That line stayed with me. Before they leave. I should have reassured her with something simple. Instead, I heard myself say, I'm not leaving. Her eyes lifted to mine then. Really lifted. And for one quiet second, the rain softened around us and everything felt still. That was the first spark. Not romance. Recognition. 2 people who had survived being abandoned. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Dad, are you almost home? Reality snapped back in. I had a daughter, a routine, a fragile balance I couldn't afford to disturb. I need to get home, I said. Of course, Maya replied quickly. Too quickly. Like she'd expected that part. I packed up my tools. But when I reached the truck, I couldn't start the engine, because walking away felt like repeating a story I'd sworn I'd never live again. And when I looked back at her standing alone in that doorway, I made the mistake that changed everything. I'll be back tomorrow, I called out. And this time, when she smiled, it wasn't guarded, it was hopeful. I should have told Lily the whole truth that night. Instead, I kept it simple. There's a lady who needs help, I said while flipping pancakes. Her porch is falling apart. Lily watched me carefully. She always does. Is she nice? She asked. Yeah, I answered. That was the dangerous part. She was nice. Not loud, not dramatic, not asking for attention, just steady, even when everything around her wasn't. And she's having a baby? Lily pressed. I nodded. Lily's small forehead wrinkled. Is the baby's dad there? I hesitated. No. She looked down at her plate. That's sad. Yeah, it was. But what I didn't tell her was how Maya had looked when she said, he moved to Seattle. Not angry, not broken, just resigned, like she'd already practiced surviving it. That night I went back, told myself it was about finishing the beam, about being efficient, about sticking to the plan. But when Maya opened the door, she was holding 2 glasses of sweet tea. "I figured you'd be tired," she said. It wasn't the tea. It was the way she noticed, the way she saw me. We worked in quiet rhythm, me measuring, her holding the board steady. "You don't have to help," I told her. "I don't like feeling useless," she replied. That word stuck. Useless, like that's what everyone had made her feel. At one point she lost her balance slightly, one hand instinctively going to her belly. Without thinking, I reached out. My palm landed lightly at her back, steadying her. The contact lasted 2 seconds, maybe 3, but in that space something shifted. She didn't pull away, and I didn't either. "You okay?" I asked softly. "Yeah," she whispered. But her eyes weren't on the porch anymore. They were on me. That was the second spark. Not explosive, just warm and terrifying. Because attraction is one thing, but connection means risk. And as I drove home that night, hands still tingling from where I'd steadied her, I realized something I wasn't ready to admit. I didn't just want to fix her porch. I wanted to stay. I crossed a line the night the storm hit. Not a physical one, an emotional one. The rain came down hard enough to rattle the windows at my place. Lily was already asleep when my phone buzzed. "Maya." I stared at her name for a second too long before answering. "There's water coming through the ceiling," she said. Her voice was trying to be calm. Failing. I think the roof tore open. I should have told her to call emergency services and wait. Instead, I grabbed my keys. "I'm on my way." The drive was reckless, wind pushing my truck sideways. Branches scattered across the road, but all I could think about was her being alone in that house. When I pulled up, she was standing on the porch in a bathrobe, soaked, one hand braced against the door. "I couldn't find the shut-off valve," she said, eyes wide. It wasn't fear that got me. It was trust. She had called me, not her ex, not her parents, me. Inside, the bedroom ceiling sagged heavy with water. I climbed into the attic, patched what I could, taped a tarp down in the dark. By the time I came back down, she was curled on the couch under a blanket, shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't have called." "You did exactly the right thing," I said. She looked at me like that idea was new. We sat there with mugs of chamomile tea, the power flickering. The house quiet except for rain dripping from the eaves. "I'm scared," she admitted finally. Not dramatic, not loud, just honest. "I know," I said. And I did. That kind of scared doesn't come from storms. It comes from not knowing who's going to stay when everything falls apart. Another flash of lightning lit the room. She looked at me then, really looked at me. "Will you stay?" she asked softly. "Just tonight." My mind screamed boundaries. My heart didn't. "I'll stay." I took the armchair. She stayed on the couch. We didn't touch, but every time she shifted in her sleep, I felt responsible. And somewhere around 3 in the morning, listening to her breathing steady out, I realized something dangerous. I didn't stay because she needed me. I stayed because I wanted to be the one she called. I shouldn't have put my hand there. That's the moment everything changed. Dawn had just started bleeding through the curtains. The storm had passed. The house smelled like wet wood and chamomile. Maya stirred on the couch. "The baby's kicking," she whispered. I should have smiled politely, kept my distance. Instead, I walked over. "Do you want to feel?" she asked. There was hesitation in her voice, not flirtation. Vulnerability, like she was offering me something sacred. I sat beside her slowly. She took my hand and placed it on the curve of her belly. Warm, alive. For a second, nothing. Then, a kick. Small, firm, real. My breath caught. I'd felt Lily kick once, years ago, in a different life, before everything fell apart. But this felt different. This wasn't my child. This wasn't my future. And yet, something in my chest tightened like it was. "She's strong," I murmured. "Like her mother?" Maya said softly. I looked at her then, really looked at her, hair loose, face tired, eyes hopeful and scared all at once. And there it was. The third spark. Not physical, protective, the kind that makes a man step forward without realizing. He just stepped into something permanent. My phone buzzed. "Lily's asking for you." Reality hit like cold water. I pulled my hand away too quickly. "I have to go." Maya nodded, but I saw it. The flicker of something closing, like she'd expected me to leave eventually. At the door, I turned back. "I'll fix the roof tonight," I said. "You don't have to." I know. That was the problem. I knew, and I kept choosing to stay. Driving home, my hand still tingled where I'd felt that tiny life move. And for the first time since Jennifer walked out on us, I felt something dangerous creeping in. Hope. But hope comes with risk. And when I walked through my front door and saw Lily sitting at the kitchen table waiting for me, I realized I wasn't the only one whose heart I could break. Lily knew. Kids always know. She was sitting at the table in her pajamas, cereal untouched, watching me like I was a math problem she couldn't solve. "You smell like rain again," she said quietly. "Long night," I replied. With Maya, there it was. Not accusation, just fear. I knelt in front of her chair. She had a leak in the roof. "I fixed it. Did you sleep there?" The question hit harder than it should have. "Yeah, on a chair." She was scared. Lily's fingers tightened around her spoon. "Are you going to live there?" "No, too fast. Too defensive."
"No, baby."
"But you're always there." That's the thing about kids. They don't measure time in hours. They measure it in presence. And lately, I hadn't been fully present. "I'm helping her," I said gently. "Sometimes people need help." "Like we did?" That stopped me. "Yeah," I admitted. She looked down. "But when we needed help, nobody came." Her voice wasn't bitter. It was confused. I swallowed hard. "You're right," I said. "Nobody came." "Then why do you have to go?" "Because I know what it feels like when no one does." But I couldn't say that without sounding like I was choosing Maya over her. "I'm not going anywhere," I said instead. "You're my world." Lily studied my face, searching for cracks. "Do you like her?" she asked. That question felt heavier than any beam I'd lifted. "I care about her." "Like you care about me?" "Different." But I couldn't explain that without hurting someone. "No one comes before you," I said firmly. She nodded, but something in her eyes stayed uncertain, and that scared me more than the storm ever had, because helping Maya felt right. But every minute I spent there was a minute Lily was measuring, and for the first time I wondered if I was building something beautiful, at the cost of something fragile. "You can still walk away, Lucas," she said it quietly. Not accusing, not dramatic, just honest. We were standing in her kitchen. The house was quiet, Lily asleep in the guest room, the soft hum of the refrigerator the only sound between us. "Why would you say that?" I asked. "Because this is getting complicated," Maya replied. "You have a daughter, a life. I don't want you feeling trapped because I'm falling apart." Falling apart. That's what she thought this was. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "You're not trapping me." Her eyes searched mine like she was waiting for the hesitation. "There's a foreclosure notice on my door," she said. "My ex shows up whenever he feels like it. I'm 8 months pregnant and on bed rest. That's not exactly stable." "I've lived unstable," I answered. "This isn't that." She shook her head slowly. "You say that now. But what happens when the bank takes the house? When I can't make this work, I won't let you sink with me." There it was, fear of being left. So she was trying to leave first. "That's not your decision," I said softly. Her jaw tightened. "It is if I care about you." That word landed heavier than anything else she'd said. Care. We stood there, inches apart, close enough that I could feel the warmth from her skin. I didn't kiss her. I wanted to. But this wasn't about passion. It was about trust. "I'm not here because I feel sorry for you," I said carefully. "I'm here because I choose to be." Her breathing shifted. "You don't have to choose me." "I know." Silence stretched between us. Then she whispered, "What if I fail?" "You won't." "You can't promise that." "No," I admitted. "But I can promise I won't disappear when things get hard." That's when it happened. Not a kiss, not a grand gesture. She reached for my hand, just held it, simple, quiet. But it felt like a vow. And in that moment I realized something terrifying. If she fell, I wasn't just going to try to catch her. I was going down with her. I didn't expect Evan to show up again. But men like him don't disappear quietly. He arrived in a black Mercedes, stepping out like he still owned something. Maybe he thought he did. I was on the ladder fixing shingles when he called out, "You must be the carpenter." I climbed down slowly. "And you must be the guy who left." His smile was thin, controlled, the kind that hides calculation. "I came to make Maya a real offer," he said. "Real? Like what we were building wasn't." Maya stepped onto the porch, pale but steady. "I told you I'm not signing anything," she said. Evan ignored her and looked at me instead. "Do you know she's about to lose this house?" "I'm aware." "And you're going to what? Hammer your way out of foreclosure?" I felt Lily watching from the doorway behind me. That's when I understood something. This wasn't just about Maya anymore. This was about the example I was setting. "You should leave," I said quietly. Evan laughed. "You think you're saving her? You're just delaying the inevitable. When this falls apart, and it will, you'll walk away like everyone else." I stepped closer. "I don't walk away." That wasn't bravado. It was a promise. Evan's eyes flicked past me. "To your daughter?" he said lightly. "You sure about that?" I slid down my spine. He pulled out his phone. CPS investigated you once, didn't they? My jaw tightened. 6 years ago, a misunderstanding. Closed case. But the fact that he knew, that meant he was digging. Interesting situation, he continued. Single father. Pregnant woman, tension, foreclosure, sounds unstable. Maya went pale. Stop, she whispered. He smiled like he'd hit the target. You want stability for your baby? You know where to find me. And then he left. Silence hung heavy after the car disappeared. Maya's hands were shaking. He could make trouble for you, she said. For Lily. That's when doubt crept in. Not about her. About whether loving her would cost my daughter. And for the first time since I stepped onto that porch, I wondered if staying meant risking everything. I didn't sleep that night. Evan's words kept replaying in my head. Unstable, CPS, your daughter. Lily was curled against me on the couch, pretending she wasn't scared. Is he going to take us away? She whispered. No, I said immediately. But the truth? I didn't know what he was capable of. After Lily finally drifted off, I found Maya sitting in the kitchen, staring at the foreclosure notice still stapled to the door. He's right about one thing, she said quietly. Don't. You have more to lose than I do. That hurt more than Evan's threats. I'm not choosing between you and Lily, I said firmly. You might have to, she replied. There it was, the choice, the one my sister warned me about, the one I swore I'd never face. Before I could respond, Maya doubled over, gripping the counter. A contraction. Too soon. Her breathing turned ragged. Lucas, I think this is real. My heart slammed against my ribs. We still had weeks. This wasn't supposed to happen yet. Another contraction hit. Harder. I grabbed my keys. We're going to the hospital. The snow had already started falling outside. Heavy, fast. The roads were turning white in minutes. Lily appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. Is it the baby? Yes. Fear flashed across her face. Don't leave me. That was it. The moment. 2 lives needing me at once. I knelt in front of her. We go together, I said. And I meant it. The drive was chaos. Snow swallowing the road. Wind shaking the truck. Maya breathing through contractions beside me. Lily gripping my arm in the back seat. The ambulance line was jammed. No units available. When we pulled into Maya's driveway, she couldn't even stand. And that's when it hit me. We weren't making it to the hospital. The storm wasn't just weather. It was a test, and as I carried Maya inside, Lily running behind us, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just fighting for her house anymore. I was fighting for her life. I had never been more afraid in my life. Not when Jennifer left. Not when the bank came after my house. Not even when CPS knocked on my door. Nothing compared to kneeling on Maya's living room floor, while a blizzard howled outside, and realizing I was about to deliver a baby with my bare hands. Lucas, she cried, gripping my shirt. I can't. Yes, you can, I said, even though my voice was shaking. You're stronger than this storm. Lily stood in the doorway with a stack of towels, trying so hard to be brave. I called 911 again, she said. They're stuck on the highway. Of course they were. The next contraction came like a wave. And then, everything moved fast. Too fast. I remembered the nurse's voice from years ago when Lily was born. Breathe, support the head, stay calm. So I did. I stayed. Maya screamed. I held steady. And then suddenly, she was there. Tiny, slippery, silent. For one horrible second, the world stopped. Why isn't she crying? Maya whispered. My heart slammed. I cleared her mouth, rubbed her back. Come on, I muttered. Come on, little one. And then, a cry. Thin at first, then stronger. Lily gasped. She's here. Maya sobbed, pulling the baby to her chest. She's perfect, she whispered. I sank back on my heels, my hands trembling. In the middle of a foreclosure. In the middle of a storm. In the middle of threats and doubt and fear, Hope was born. That's what Maya named her. Hope. The ambulance finally arrived an hour later. The roads were closed. We were snowed in. But something shifted that night. Not just in her house. In me. Because when Lily climbed into my lap afterward and said, we did it together, I understood something I'd been too afraid to admit. This wasn't about saving Maya anymore. It wasn't about being a hero. It was about choosing. Choosing to stay. Choosing to build. Choosing to love even when it's risky. The bank still wanted its money. Evan still lurked. Nothing was magically fixed. But as I looked at Maya holding Hope, and Lily resting her head on her shoulder, I realized something. I didn't walk into that house to fix a porch. I walked in to build a family. And this time, I wasn't going anywhere.